Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. We had the occasion to see that they one of the counties bought iPads for all their officers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it helps them to enforce marijuana laws.
The better to
so they could have them so that when someone's making a statement, they couldn't record it. That kind of stuff.
What a nice iPad you have.
Oh, they got all kinds of... spent their money on all kinds of crazy non-cannabis law reform.
No, it is for the enforcement of and learning and education and use in investigations. But do they pull it out and record someone when they allegedly make a statement?
Porn.
Or do they videotape them? No, they say, yeah, this is what they said. Do you have a recording of it? Is it written down? No.
No checks and balances in that system.
Yeah. That's still
just
going
grabbing some of the money. That's what that was always about.
Mm-hmm. You think so?
Possibly. Early on, Rick and I attended one of the subcommittee meetings on how that funding was going to go down and tried to offer up...
Is his microphone on?
Tried to offer up... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Tried to offer up some alternatives for how that was to...
Forfeiture you're talking about?
To be spent. No, from the MMA fund.
Oh, yeah.
But during the time when they were discussing it, even... That was a long time ago, actually, when this first went into effect. And it made, seemed as though we got some interest in that room and made some sense to people, but for some reason it didn't continue on through the process and become the policy.
Yeah, I already got to change my table.
Can we talk about one of the things that's kind of fascinating about the Prop 1? I need people listening. Full attention over. The Prop 1.
It's out of control tonight.
It's your fault, Steve.
I'm focused.
It is Steve's fault.
I know.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Michael's behind his wall of computers. He's focused.
I'll own it.
Prop 1 provides for $20 million. $20 million. $20 million for veteran research.
Hell yeah.
Do you know that? First $20 million, and the second $20 million
About that aspect.
veterans research, right?
Yeah.
And then roads and teachers.
Schools, yeah.
Schools and roads.
Which I say help out teachers and the local communities that embrace the opportunities to have retail stores.
There will be a need to, well, I guess it's already, I mean, who enforces how that's spent? Jeff, Fraser, how do we think? Somebody.
Who enforces how it's spent?
Yeah. Is it the legislature?
I guess would be the treasurer.
I think so.
Well, I mean, the General Accounting Office obviously controls, budgetary issues too. But if they spend in ways that we don't agree with, I think it's the role of the Attorney General to tell them that they're not coloring within the lines. If they're misrepresenting the language of Prop 1, then it would be the Attorney General's responsibility, I believe.
I would think so.
Yeah. Fuck Bill
That's a
Schuette.
good thing to
Figure
put
it
on.
out. We got good people in there now. Schuette's not in there.
Well, he is
Bill
for a few
Schuette
more
is
days.
in there.
He's
He's in
for a
there
few
right
more
now.
days right now.
He's all up
He
in
lost. He
Right,
doesn't
this-
really hang
He's
out.
all up in that mug.
No,
He
he's never
turned that
there.
office out like
He's like, fuck this.
Schuette's gone. He just
He's like, come out.
money running.
charge a couple people.
Do you think
on
he
the way.
cried after he lost? He kind of looked like he was going to cry.
There,
People saw
you know
him.
that
People saw him.
Ryan Baser
Ryan
and Jeff
did.
Hank and Sharmy and some others actually saw him.
They
that
spoke
night.
with him
Did they
that
see him
evening.
crying?
And was he crying?
He was
They-
crying in an elevator or something of that nature.
Bill Schuette.
I don't know. I don't remember anybody saying that they saw him crying.
I
No,
see.
but he was in
But
an
he was
elevator.
definitely.
Did he
it
look
was right
clinically
at the point when it
depressed?
was. Yes, it was. He was obviously affected. It was right at the point of hearing about
He knew.
confirmation of his loss.
I see.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that it was projected that he was going to lose, so it couldn't have been a surprise to him. So
And
he
he-
must have been mentally
and all the
at least
money was
partially prepared.
delusional.
All the money
Maybe,
got
who knows?
yanked,
News.
and it got put into working against Dana, and like $7 million got dumped in toward
Still
the
could
end
not
to
defeat
help
her.
out Tom Leonard.
That's true.
They cut that pretty. They shaved that kind of close.
And he
but,
abandoned that Detroit office of his that's now graffitied
It's
up
still
and
there.
just
I've
vacant.
driven by it a bunch of times. There's a plastic sign that's flapping in the wind. It's on Woodward. It's only
Way to
maybe
go,
2
Bill.
miles from my house.
Thanks for nothing.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for Detroit. We're done with you, so we're just going
Okay.
to leave
Well,
you like a latex
even
glove
during
in the gutter.
campaign,
Right.
that looked like an abandoned office. I never saw anybody in it. We never
Earl,
saw any action.
Earl,
just
you
the
gonna miss?
sign,
You're
that's
gonna
it.
miss Bill.
Yeah, what's up with that?
No.
He had to think about it for a quick second, and came up with no.
Earl, we have a saying on this show. It goes a little something like, fuck Bill
Fuck
Schuette.
Bill Schuette.
Pound FPS.
It goes exactly like this.
You can do it.
Pound.
You can do it. Do it.
My case is still pending.
Smart call.
You come in in January.
When does
and
Dana
say
get
it,
sworn
man.
in? When does Dana get sworn in? Like
Listen,
the
you know what
5th
that
or
is? Just don't
something?
follow the leader right there. I like that. That's good. Dana gets sworn in January. Is there official date?
What's the date? I think
January
the 5th.
1.
The inauguration is
first?
January 1st.
Is it the 1st?
It is.
Which is weird because
We should go. We should do a live.
I'm not
going
going to be there, but that would be cool to be
That would
there.
be cool.
I think
I'm going.
Ryan will be there.
I'm
I'm gonna
sure
go.
Ryan will be there. Yeah.
Where's the location? Why don't we get that out so we all
It's
can
in Lansing. I'm not sure exactly.
It's going to be in
where.
Lansing. Yeah.
So Gretchen will be also.
There'll be
Involved in
pomp
that.
and ceremony and flash bulbs and dresses and
We can pass out free doobies.
Yeah,
weeping
free
Republicans. Yes, it'll be fun.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Will that be deemed a private setting?
It doesn't mean
No,
it doesn't have to
when
be. I
you-
can do that right on the
You
open.
take an oath of office, so you put your hand on the Bible and you raise
We
your
can
hand.
go ahead and make that happen, Michael.
I think if you're within a tent, you need like a permanent.
Why would you have
tent.
to be? You can't transfer
What if,
it
we,
in
if
public.
you bring your own
Portable
tent, then it's your
permanent tent.
private
You just can't
property.
use.
Right, you just can't use in
public.
public. You can
But you can
transfer
carry
in
it around.
public.
You can pass it out to people. You can
So-
say,
No, I'm saying, but you have like a push a button, a tent forms around you.
well, you can bring a tent.
I know, and then
We
you're
brought
within
tents
a
every
private-
Maxwell Smart
so-
cone of silence.
That's right.
I don't think that constitutes private property.
We're working on the technology right now. We're working
the
on it.
capital of the
Didn't
town.
Bill
Steal
Schuette
them.
say your car is private?
So Michael, you bring up a point. If you're in the middle of the mall, a strip mall, right? People walking all around you. You set up
You
a
were in a
tent.
strip mall.
2 people walk in. They zip it down. Now no one can see what goes on. They make a transfer. Is that still a public place?
You can transfer in public.
You can transfer in public.
But what if they bump microphones first?
You know?
What if they wanted
You just
to
can't
smoke?
light
Is
up
the
in
transfer
public,
the
that's
issue
all.
on that? Or it's,
Well, let's change from
for the
transfer
smoking?
to consume. Yeah,
Consuming?
Yeah, consumer.
That's what I'm saying.
because
That-
you're
my,
in a
jo- my
tent,
joke
so
was
technically no
was
one
being
can
able
see.
Oh, we're
to
still in the tent.
create a place that
It's like a tent suit.
It's kind of private. It's not public anymore.
Listen,
As long as there's a
people may have to retract
It's not
their
publicly accessible.
pound FBS because
Public suppository.
his position
Across the line.
is that a vehicle in a parking lot is considered private.
Yeah, tell them about the case that brought out that decision. It's a lovely one.
Yeah. Well, it's a medical marijuana person that was using in
Oh no, I don't
their
think
car,
that. I don't think
and
that
he wrote
would.
an opinion saying that should be considered private. The Court of Appeals.
Soaring Eagle was
I-
Mary Chartier, right?
I thought that Bill Schuette said a car
Yeah,
was a
lost.
private place
Alan Pison
because
knows
some
because of
guy got
prostitution.
busted
But I thought
watching
it was
pornography,
supposed to
and
go
some
to,
family drove by and filed criminal charges, and then the attorney general came out and said, "Oh no, it's private property. He can do whatever he wants in his
That
private
would be an
property."
interesting dichotomy of circumstances.
He supported that. He supported the privacy of the vehicle and
When
the
you per porn.
patient
Yeah.
being in private and thus upholding the immunities. That was his opinion.
Oh,
It's the only one I agree with.
oh,
That's what I'm saying.
That's
but
weird.
the Court of Appeals
didn't agree.
did not find that.
Did the Supreme Court ever hear it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna think of the case. It's a
She
big-
appealed.
It may even be unpublished.
Private act in a public place.
It was,
to London,
it's Soaring
it says.
Eagle. The guy came out and sat in the. He was hanging out inside, having some fun, and every once in a while he needed to come out and medicate so he could relieve himself of some pain and go back and have some fun. And he sat in like the passenger side of the car, even didn't start the car or anything, and even took it that far. He just went in there to use a private space to be able to use his medicine.
And they still mess with him.
Yep.
The issue did not bend on the federal property.
They handed it over to the state.
I understand,
Yeah.
but it did not. That was not. Otherwise, sometimes
No,
that
they
would
didn't
be
inclu- that wasn't a
a
consideration, right?
preclusion.
Yep. But casino property is private property, and at the time that shit went down, they could, refuse
The public
to allow.
can come in on that parking lot, right? Doesn't that have a
Yes.
consideration? Because anybody can just drive in there.
Yeah, it's right off of the main road.
A
you can just
bigger
pull in.
question, which I think is harder to be intellectually honest about as far as jurisprudence is, does an individual have a reasonable expectation of privacy when their vehicle is parked or they're within their, when there's things in their vehicle in a parking lot that is not open to the public for driving through?
Mhm.
And people can go in there if they're doing business there, like, being patron, having business there is not the same as, in fact, police would not normally be, unless they're not roads that are subject to the traffic code. Steve Miller would say, like a hotel or a gas
It's
station.
private property, but it's
property
publicly
like that
accessible.
Are not subject to traffic codes unless they make some kind of contract with the city and with the police force.
That is correct.
Now, criminal statutes, of course, apply in those areas, but but they're not patrolling them.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the same as the lawn in front of the state capitol.
Say it again. Say that again. I didn't hear.
I said I don't think that's the same as the lawn in front of the state capitol. If you're in a little
no, we're
private
talking
area.
about private parking lot. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. Private
that.
parking lot.
But I don't know. That's the privacy issue. I was making a joke about throwing a.
Well, nobody can just go into somebody's car. If it were,
of course
if it
not.
was in the public,
of course not. And the argument would be,
then they would be able to.
No, but it's less protected because a car, for government purposes, is deemed to be more mobile. There's fewer protections. It allows the police to.
Yes, the
because there's a government license
what's
on it?
reasonable
Because
to look
why?
in. They can't go into the car, and they certainly, but they can look in your car. That's open to the public. Like someone's walking through, the police.
They can look
Clear
all
glass
day.
windows so they
Right.
can shine
They
a
see
flashlight in
something
there.
that's criminal
But
within
you
there.
can be
There's
beaten off to porn.
Is a
as
car
long as
sitting
you're
there,
in
right? Jeff, would you argue with that?
It's got to be in
For
the
probable
car.
cause purposes. See a severed finger laying on the seat.
You're fucked.
Well, right. I mean, is there probable cause to believe that you're operating a vehicle under the influence of a controlled substance?
I understand. No, what I'm saying though is a car parked in a parking lot. Is this a place called privacy? So a adult could smoke, a patient could
Who
smoke.
said anything
'cause
about privacy? You just can't do it in public.
So the question becomes: is the inside of your automobile a private place or is it a public place?
Right. Are you fighting with me
Depends
on
where
just
it's parked.
words? What was this?
Yes, that's exactly what
So
I'm
during
saying.
during the
what
same
is that?
argument,
The
That's
semantics
the fight
battle.
you come back with.
I know that Mary Chartier describes asking the police, do you think that somebody who can be seen through their front window in their own living room doing this
Right.
would be illegal then? And they said yes on the record
crazy.
for this case that we're talking
That's
about. I know I've heard her
crazy.
describe that.
I think it depends where the car is parked ultimately. Because
No, we're talking. It's a
I think
simple
it's-
scenario. We're
it's-
talking about a parking lot that is for
Because they're saying because you can see them.
business
That
or
doesn't-
retail.
If the-
Here's a question: is a car that's parked in a parking lot with nobody in it have an expectation of privacy?
Yes.
To what extent?
To the extent that someone isn't opening the car door and rooting around through the vehicle.
Agreed.
It is not a publicly accessible place.
It's right, and a person has a reasonable expectation that no other persons are going to go in there,
Correct.
and they also have a reasonable expectation that if they're doing something visible, it's going to be seen by people.
Maybe.
So maybe it's not really fully exempt from expectation of privacy. Now, if you have darkened windows, which you're allowed to have to a certain degree, that's something else because you're not expecting that from the sides anyone's going to be able to see you.
Windowless van. That's what we should have done.
Not even that,
That's
right? It
what we
changed a
should
little
have
bit
done.
because people can't. There's only certain areas they can see in your car. You can't see them from the side. Some of these from the front, maybe. And if you're parked in a way that someone can't, you've now created this expectation that no one is going to be looking in there, and maybe it's a little bit more private. Versus middle of the parking lot where, you're accessible at a 360 degrees. Make a difference.
No.
I think the plain view is, I think it comes down to whether or not you're on private property or public property. I don't think you're protected on a sidewalk, but I think you're probably protected in the parking lot.
How about in your own driveway? If you're sitting in
For
your own driveway,
absolutely.
Driveway,
That is
absolutely.
completely
Driveway,
different.
porch, anything on your own property.
that is normally accessible and used by the public is private.
All right. How about this one? This
But
one is
inside the car in that parking lot.
this one is going to twist your heads around a bit. What if you are driving down the highway and you have a passenger in your vehicle that is consuming marijuana?
That I assume is supposed to be okay. I
it's-
heard the
it's-
state.
It's specifically forbidden in Prop
There's
1.
special language that
Prop one
refers
is
to
Specific-
Now,
I'm talking
there's a
about.
debate.
I'm talking about medical. I'm
It-
not
it's-
talking about rec.
It is okay with me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay with
It's
Jamie.
okay
That's
with-
good.
So
Okay.
you're the patient in the car, and you're not driving.
That's an old one. I used to tell that joke and then also say, I say like they're a patient and a caregiver and they have a pistol permit to carry, concealed.
That's good.
They got like their
That's good.
15
It's a
ounces of
trifecta.
smoking, and they got their gun like in their.
If there's any way to really
is
get
that
the
legal?
police's attention, it's to have
Should
a
be.
gun and marijuana and be speeding down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
What would you do if you found someone with a gun and marijuana speeding down the road, Steve?
Listen, if the act is
Now or
intended to
then?
protect people from what would otherwise
No,
be
no
illegal,
card. Mm-mm.
and it's all for medical purposes, I don't know how we get to like this even be, crime. They're not crimes. The original intent of the law was not to create that scenario. I mean, in a perfect world, it wouldn't be. Oh my God, it's cannabis and can't have a gun. We wouldn't even go there. The reason that's